A lot of people are really pessimistic about the future of this country, and I'll admit, I am too sometimes, actually, pretty often. But there's one thing that I think all of us must keep in mind during these trying times. Yeah, it seems like the crazies have taken over the asylum. It seems like the prisoners are running the prison. It seems like all hell is breaking loose. And us decent people who are trying to live normal lives, we can easily spot all of these crazy, weird, sick ideologies that are being spread. All of these sick, crazy, twisted ways of thinking and viewing the world. And now I have no problem with everyone having a different outlook on life, but there's some things that have been pushed in the modern day that we just know aren't right. Like some of the stuff that's being pushed on our kids in schools. Some of the wild stuff that these weirdos are coming up with every day. We know that it's crazy. We know that a lot of the people spreading these ideologies are downright crazy. And in many ways, it seems like they're the ones running the show right now, right? And the reason they're running the show is because regular, rational people are too rational to really speak out. They don't want to have to deal with the nonsense. But there is a slight sliver of hope that we have here. And that hope is, and what I want to remind you all today, is that the wicked type of people we're up against, these sick, weird ideologies that are being spread, at the end of the day, I guess sometimes people will use the word woke to try to just encapsulate everything that they're talking about. That's a word that people understand these days. But this mentality, and the people with this mentality, they're cannibals. They often eat their own. And we see it time and time again. Just look at cancel culture. Eventually, even the people who promote cancel culture, even the people at the front of the lines with their torches and their pitchforks, eventually they get canceled. And they get canceled by their own, because eventually people with these ideologies, they don't have the same set of morals we do. They eat each other. Not necessarily literally speaking, but eventually they turn on each other. And I think we're kind of witnessing that right now. Now, obviously, I've been talking a good bit about these protests that have been going on. I talk about it a little bit here on this channel, but I talk a lot about it over on Twitter or X. So go follow me over there if you want to see some really crazy footage that YouTube will never allow me to show you guys. But these protests are breaking out, and I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's happening on these college campuses, although I am against America funding the war over there in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. I'm against America also funding the war in Ukraine. I'm tired of America getting involved in foreign issues. I want no part of this feud that's been going on between Israel and Palestine since well before I was born. I don't want anything to do with it. And I don't want America to have anything to do with it either. So when I see these protests that are disrupting graduations, when I see protesters who are being bigoted towards certain kids because of their race and stuff like that, I don't like that. However, these ideologies and this way of thinking that I was just talking about, a lot of this is promoted by Hollywood. It's promoted by celebrities. Hollywood is trying to create these little activists who have never been through anything in their life that run around screeching about everything. And one day, today it's about Palestine. 2 weeks from now, it'll be something else. And then it'll be something else. It's always about the current thing. That's one thing that I've realized. Gone are the days where you had the real protesters and the real freedom fighters that actually fought and believed the fight that they were fighting for, that were actually fighting for causes that made sense. Now you just got people who want to just rage out about whatever the current thing is. But there's no denying that Hollywood, and through the movies they put out, through the TV shows they put out, through the music, through the messaging, they've been indoctrinating these little kids who have now grown up to be college-age students, who are now activists that are pretending to be Muslims, regardless of the fact that they're white kids raised in the suburbs. They get to freaking college and now they're Muslim freedom fighting, freaking terrorist sympathizing rioters. It's really weird, because they're being brainwashed and injected with these ideologies in school and from Hollywood. But now, as I've mentioned before, these protesters that were created by Hollywood, that were created by some of these politicians and political parties, now they're out of control. They created these monsters that they can no longer control, and now the monsters are turning on them. Now they are eating themselves. And today in New York City, the biggest fashion show in the world, the Met Gala, where the world's most powerful, richest, most famous people gather to all do weird things. There's always a lot of satanic, demonic messaging at the Met Gala. There's always a lot of weird, questionable things going on with a lot of weird outfits. Well, guess what? Their little party is getting crashed as we speak by these Free Palestine protesters, the very protesters that were created by some of the individuals inside the Met Gala. And I want to know how these people are going to react now, because they love and support these protests. They love creating these little monsters when the monsters aren't affecting them. But now that they've gone off of the school campuses, and now that they're coming to places like the Met Gala, you're going to see a totally different reaction. And all of us get to sit by, we get to pop our popcorn, and we get to watch these people eat themselves. But I'm going to go ahead and roll this little clip really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts. To be clear, I disagree with a lot of what these protesters are about, but I also agree with some of the points that they're supposedly fighting for, even though most of them have no idea why they're there. They just want to cause chaos. But I do agree with some of the points. As I said earlier, I don't want to be funding these foreign wars. But if they're going to start doing things like this, they will get a little bit more support from people like me. I'm not going to sit here and say I'll be an avid supporter of the riots and the protests. That's not what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. But I have a huge problem with these protesters, like they did a few years ago, burning down small independent businesses, causing chaos in the streets. You know what happened during the BLM riots. I have a huge problem with them, causing havoc on these college campuses while kids are trying to go to school and graduate. I have a problem with that because no small business owner should be subjected to that. These kids should not be subjected to that. But these celebrities should. Because they're the ones that created these monsters. They're the ones that spread this ideology. Right? All these Hollywood actors want to be pretend activists and promote messages that they know nothing about because they're paid to do so, right? So, yeah. Instead of disrupting random innocent people, destroying communities, instead of destroying colleges, disrupt stuff like the Met Gala. Disrupt these celebrities' lives. Do something that's actually impactful, because what's happening at college, that's not impactful at all. When you go and burn down small businesses, that has the opposite effect, and people will hate your movement. When you actually protest somewhere where it makes sense against people who are actually part of the problem, then maybe you'll get a little bit more support. But at the end of the day, as I said, these people made their bed and now they have to lie in it. So I don't feel bad for anything that happens at the Met Gala today. Yeah, I have a problem with some things that's going to go on around the country in other areas, but do what you want at the Met Gala because those people deserve it. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.